You weren't waiting for me, were you?
No, I was 5 minutes late myself, and I've just been.
Got it. Thank you.
Yay. Great.
Okay,
so let's.
Annual report.
That's great. I got the camera facing right at me. Should I move? Would that be kind?
Okay, well, we got it. We're all in here. So I'd like to call the February 20th.
I'll take minutes.
Take minutes.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I'm keeping time.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes. So one of our to-dos this meeting is to keep each segment, each discussion limited in time. And Glenn, as secretary, you will be the official timekeeper.
As just a quick note, it's budgeted for for us to be done no later than 9.
Yeah.
Right. Possibly earlier. Cheryl, if I'm not mistaken, you have to leave at 8:30. So just
okay.
I think those.
With that in mind, is there anything you want to talk about? Make sure we discuss first on the agenda. Or
I think we're good. Thank you for asking.
Okay. So let's call the February 28th meeting of the IT Advisory Committee to order. Let's see, we're meeting here in Belmont Town Hall, Conference Room 4. Let us move into our agenda and start with, let's see, attendance, which, Glenn, I think you've got.
Yep.
Everyone, great. And then let's just, except for Jim. Have a seat. Second item of business, let's just review and approve the minutes from our previous meeting, which is January 10th.
Okay,
There are hard copies, and Dave was nice enough to forward everybody.
there's a typo in the third paragraph. Subcommittee is spelled incorrectly, but
Okay. Do you have them open on your own?
I don't, but I can.
Okay. He sent them as a text document?
Yeah. Let me go find it.
Here's one. Yes, sorry. He's got his other source of
if you find it, there's typos there.
We're missing any.
Okay, hold on. Let me find minutes.
Can't find it. Ah, there it is.
Somebody mentioned the typo in the subcommittee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
I think with correction of that misspelling of subcommittee, I don't see any other issues that I with this.
Make it a motion to approve.
All in favor? Actually, second?
Yeah. Second.
All in favor?
I think we all seconded.
We missed something?
Yes. When was the meeting?
The meeting was January 10, 2019.
It was January 10th? Oh, then our agenda was wrong. The agenda that I listed as January 10 or January 30?
Yeah, you
That was good,
January
right?
10.
It's good. Sorry. Okay. All right. We're good. Sorry. I'm just getting,
So I think all in favor would be approved, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, public comments or questions. There don't appear to be anybody not on the committee in the room, and I'm just looking. There are no participants in our Zoom conference. So I think we can dispense with that. And main topics for discussion. Okay, so the first of those would just be to review the ITAC report for the Board of Selectmen. I did provide hard copies of that, and I shared a digital copy. And if you want to take a quick minute or two just to read through it and let me know if there are corrections, misspellings, substantive additions. There might be some things in there that you remember us talking about or doing that aren't listed. And,
Yeah, whether you consider the substantive or not, the listing of the members, you say, you revert to the term school appointee instead of school committee appointee.
oh, I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's inconsistent with
Yeah.
the top. Okay.
Yeah.
In the body of the document. Okay. Okay.
There's also another nitpicky typo. One up above, you refer to it as a select men appointee, and
Yes.
down below you call it a select man appointee.
Okay.
If you've already mentioned the Board of Selectmen above,
Yeah, it should be selectmen.
yeah,
Soon. Well,
yeah, it's plural, right. That's one of them.
okay.
Select people.
Select people. Yeah, but they have to change,
No,
they have
no.
to change their name. They can't
No, we haven't.
It'll happen.
Do we need to add in terms of activities? I thought we also reviewed another presentation related to, I'm drawing a blank, but I remember they did a very thoughtful presentation.
Yeah, it's
and
about the polls and, I mean, the,
Oh, yeah.
It's about
From Belmont Light
broadband.
Department?
yeah, broadband.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was that
in
last year? or this
2019
year?
or 2018, that's the
Yeah.
question. Did we do it on January 10th, or did we do it before that?
No, it was before that.
Well, then it
Was
was
that
in
December?
2018. So.
I feel like that was a December
It
meeting.
must have been December because our last meeting is not in these notes, right? For the minute meetings that
Yeah.
was approved.
Yeah.
That's probably worth a one or two liner.
I would say so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Right. No,
have that
absolutely.
down in the records. Let me know when you're ready to receive another comment.
Okay, sorry. I just have like a screen that was hiding from me, but now I am ready. Hold on. So let me just say the first one was that
Selectmen.
school committee, right?
Committee appointee, yeah.
Okay.
And selectmen versus selectmen.
Oh, I see.
I just grabbed the document for selectmen.
Select man. Yeah. So it's just up there where we list the committee members, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Charles?
Yeah,
Glenn, could you pass me? I know I need to crawl after I purchase.
okay, I think your comment, the beginning of the first true paragraph on page 2,
Mm-hmm.
ITAC continues to lead by example.
Yep.
Now, is that something that we're going to do moving forward, or did we literally make all of the ITAC committee meetings available
We
in
did.
2018? Did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you know, there might have been some where, you know, the video cut out before the end of the meeting.
It's a real
Yeah.
sort of a nitpicky.
They're all on YouTube.
I think probably people will be looking at not online versions of this, so you might want to type out all the URLs as opposed to.
Having a link, having a hyperlink. Good idea.
And
I'll do that right now. Maybe I'll make a little short link, actually.
I got a few copy edits
Give them to me now.
Okay. Halfway down the second page in the paragraph that begins, each event took place. Okay, see that?
Yep.
Each event took place at the Belmont Public Library and was promoted with the help of various people. Missing the word was. Okay.
Yep. Got it.
Going over to the top of the next page. I'm sorry.
As long as we're in that paragraph,
Yep.
I think it may actually be a good idea to point out that we had assistance directly from the library and from the Belmont media.
Assistance was provided.
Well, that was actually stated at the very top.
Yeah, it was.
The first
It was
paragraph.
recorded by Belmont Media Center.
Okay, right. So maybe redundant, but it just, when we're saying it was promoted with the help of various people, well, which people, who were they?
Yeah.
Various channels. Oh, okay.
Through the,
Including Belmont Public Library, Belmont Media Center. Anybody else that helped promote them?
Mary.
Yeah, she's from the library. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Did public schools, Belmont Public Schools, do
No.
anything? No. Selectmen?
no. I'm trying to think. I think we got Will's Brownsburger that appeared in one of them.
Yes, here's the first one, but not the second one, right? And
We posted through his website, but I don't know
Yeah.
if they've actually.
Yeah, Will turned up at one of the fireside chats.
Do we mention Meet Belmont?
We do somewhere
We
in
did,
here.
yes.
Oh, we
I
did,
mean, we mentioned that we,
It's in the last paragraph right before the 21st Century
Yeah.
Government Subcommittee.
But it was mentioned in the context of like handing out
yeah, but
brochures.
yeah,
and
we could,
maybe beat that up a little bit.
Yeah, it was a full-blown.
So it was like a big
Event.
thing.
Yeah, right. Ah, yes. Okay.
I'm working on.
Let me know when you're ready, Paul. A few more.
Well, how did we, what did we decide to, just to say in that paragraph, sorry, just that, each event took place by public library from various channels. Okay, I see. What was the other one? Belmont Public Library Media Center.
Are you describing the channels? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, next door.
so we used Nextdoor, we used the listserv, Nava promoted it at the Beach Street Center.
There we go.
Yeah, that's right.
I know there were other people. You contacted someone from the press.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. The Belmont Citizen Herald.
And then also.
Thanks for reminding me.
And then we also directly contacted some of the past attendees who had shared their contact information with us.
And
Can
Belmont.
we say 20 to 30 attending? I mean, you have more than 20.
20-30, you can get away with that.
Okay. And then you said we directly
have committee members or-
contacted.
Past attendees.
Okay.
As well. Or invited, to past.
We had some contact with the Belmont PD, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Was that listed in here as well?
Well, they sent an officer. I don't think they were.
Well, Jim Syracuse is part of the committee, so
Okay.
that might be worth mentioning too. Yeah, just
Right. Yeah. I think that's one.
Yeah, politically, that's a really good thing.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice catch.
Okay.
Gotta give credit where credit is due.
Okay, next.
21st century government. Moving on to that.
I had an issue, maybe this is just me, but in the second bullet, excuse me, the first bullet, you end it with results of these surveys and hopes to have that in the selectmen's hands shortly. That's sort of like real soon now. I mean, do you want to be any more specific to that, or do you want to be
Imminently.
Prior to town meeting,
You could just say finalizing the
Prior to-
the report.
prior to April.
Top out the second part of the sentence.
This different from the printed copy?
which.
This,
we're
Bullet
making
point.
corrections to it?
Right, okay,
It's
because-
right above
He's on this one here.
goals for 2019. Yeah, so we're like two,
We
next
conducted
page,
surveys?
next page.
Yeah, we conducted surveys.
Yeah, okay. Because you talk
Yes.
about surveys, then you say the goal of these survey, it should be surveys.
Okay,
And then the next sentence says the committee has collected the results of that. I think you want to say these surveys again?
with those surveys.
Or those surveys.
We have 39 committee officers respond to the survey.
No, then it should be surveys again.
No, they're two
Well,
separate surveys.
to the survey for town committees, and 181 members of the Belmont community respond to the survey of residents. So two different surveys.
Got it, okay,
ITAC
Yeah.
is finalizing its report based on the results of these surveys.
okay.
21st century vice chair, cover, demonstration meeting, technology. Anything else for 21st century government that we need to?
They can sing a hyphen in vice chair. Right?
No, is vice chair hyphenated or?
It was hyphenated up above, so he's just saying. To be consistent.
Maybe not, depends.
Be consistent.
Just be consistent, I mean, if I can have one place.
Okay. Goals for 2019, anything?
Yeah, this is way back when you, on the first page, we talk about our liaisons.
Yes.
You got the town, the school department, the public library, and the police department. To be for consistency, you don't want to say public safety in that first bullet. You probably want to say police department.
Yes.
Well, there's
Initial caps on
Yeah.
And
B and
lights,
C.
and lights department as well. Right?
Did
We list
Yes.
we list them up front?
We should have. Yeah.
Well,
No, we should.
That's where we
We're listing
continue to
out.
work with that chapter.
Oh,
that
yeah,
paragraph.
that's, you're cooking with gas tonight, Faye, you really are.
So,
That's good. Yeah.
well, so let's list them all out. So we
Yeah.
have,
So this is in the IT advisory committee, continued to work closely and proactively with their IT liaisons for the town. That one.
Okay. But let's back up. I think, Paul, we're going all the way back to the very beginning, this one, the summary.
Yeah,
Is it like-
that's where I am.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the summary should include the light department.
I would put the,
Yes, yeah.
yeah, I would put the light department after school department and before public library.
Yeah.
As far as
I agree.
the
Yeah.
big three is basically Dave, Steve, and Robert.
so we've had someone from the police department. We've also had someone from the fire department, I believe.
Robin's name is 2 L's, right, Filbert? It looks like you're right.
That's a good question. I thought we had,
So it reads now, town, Dave Pettos, school department, Steve Mazzola, Belmont Public Life Department, Robin Filbert, Belmont Public Library, Belmont Public Library, Ellen.
Yep.
And police department, John Steves.
Correct.
Should we
Double L.
add Jim Syracuse to that, or John Steves?
He's not the IT liaison.
He's not police liaison, no, I don't think so.
Okay. Anything else there? No, we haven't.
Yeah, but I think that's good, but it should be, then in the goals we just have. the
Yeah,
same-
we need to
same-
update that.
In
too.
the goals, yes. Okay, so I'll just.
And I'll just mention it. I did talk to Assistant Chief McIsaac
Yeah.
prior to. I think he kind of prodded Syracuse to kind of get in touch with us. So I don't know.
Do you want to make that change? John?
I don't know if it's worth mentioning that Assistant Chief McIsaac was also sort of involved in getting.
Oh, or arranging for
Yeah,
Jim.
yeah.
Well, Jim's involvement predated 2018. He got involved in this
Oh,
in
okay.
2017.
Okay, so then if I forget when I did that. I was
Yeah.
long time.
I'm sure someone okayed it. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
I think it's either Belmont, I mean, this is.
Somebody
Light Department
probably asked.
Or Belmont Light, but not
Yeah.
Belmont Public.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds like
it was one of these things. We weren't getting a response, so I went to.
There's two places. in there.
That's right. Because there was another woman who was supposed to.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I met her once.
Yeah.
In other circumstances.
I thought we gotta remove
She
the
arrested
public.
for-
No. She gave a little thing in my church.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
And then find out meeting.
Okay.
That with Jim. Jim was great.
When you get to the second and third bullet under goals.
Yep.
Exactly what report are you referring to? You're referring to the annual report?
Submit report to ITAC, and then, no, this is 21st century, 21st
Yeah, then you should clarify that.
century government. What's the name of our report?
The report.
It is the
Summary of surveys, isn't it?
21st Century Government Report to BOS. That's the draft of the report.
Right. Is that the right name?
Fire department.
On committees or no? I'm just gonna say report to ITAC and then ITAC. on committees.
You have a white space error too. Between goals and respectfully submitted.
Does it make sense to talk about submitting the report to ITAC, and this is an ITAC annual report? So,
Yeah.
I mean, who's submitting the report to ITAC if not ITAC?
Well, from the subcommittee to the full committee.
But there's a bullet point that doesn't talk about the subcommittee. Both for 2019, is that in the right spot?
Yeah,
Second bullet point?
21st century, yeah, 21st century government subcommittee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just wanted
Right, it's
to,
a subcommittee.
I'm kind of with Jonathan. Is that really a
Submit.
level of detail that's not necessary? That
Yeah.
the
Yeah, okay,
subcommittee-
you're right. Let's just take it out. Yeah. So I'll just say,
You could combine the second and third bullet.
yeah.
Or there's a second one. What's the ITAC appointing committees?
School committee,
Huh?
Board of Selectmen.
Board of Selectmen, school committee, library board of trustees.
Right.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I see.
Those who appoint us.
So right now then we're basically deleting the second bullet and modifying.
Yeah.
The
So
third-
now the bullet's just
third,
gonna be
not
submit
second.
21st century government subcommittee
Okay.
report to Board of Selectmen and other, well, I'm just gonna spell it out, Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
School committee
Library.
and library board of trustees. Work with Board of Selectmen on nominating committees and implement recommendations. Continue to foster discussions.
Got these funky underlines at the beginning of the bullets.
Yeah, that's just the Word to Google Docs conversion. I'll take care of it right now.
Are you ready for another?
Yep, that's right.
The last bullet, blue jean is one word, and there's an S on the end. It should be, it's blue
You can
jeans.
fix that one if you're still.
Is that the name of it? Could you, yeah,
I
that'd be
think-
great. That's the meeting
Yeah.
platform. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like go-to-meeting where it has, the camel case in it.
Yeah.
But there's an S on the end, and I'm sure they'd like to see that.
Did you get the white space right after the?
Yes.
Yeah. Is cyber literacy one word? But it's two with a space.
No, it is too much.
I was also wondering, should we put the
Oh, yeah.
names of the subcommittee members into the report?
We could. Yeah. Do you want to add that just under each heading, under each
You see the head of
level 2 heading, just members?
put it there, or you could put it
I just
at the
put it,
committee members at the top as a like
type of case.
Oh,
thing
that's not
after
bad.
if you
Yeah,
want
yeah.
save space.
Yeah.
Just put it type it on there.
Happy to.
Yeah. And probably bold and.
So that's going to be confusing now.
Yeah, maybe that is confusing.
Efficient. but confusing.
One.
All this.
Put it down for members.
So we'll put it down into the
You
subcommittee.
just- Similar to this one here.
I don't want to step on Glenn's responsibility, but we're going to use all our time talking about the report. Okay.
I think we're almost there.
Okay.
Just,
Home stretch.
So was there anything else you want to do?
Nah. It's just, yeah.
Glenn, who's in your committee?
Um,
Subcommittee?
Charlie, Dan, Cheryl, Jim Syracuse, myself.
Only the finest people.
Aspirations.
I can fill that rest in.
Could you?
The only armed subcommittee. Sorry, the only armed subcommittee.
That's true.
Kind of freaked me out the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll do.
Cheryl, your last name is just Flutter Rick, right?
I think on the first page, you need a colon after officers.
Done.
Sorry, where are you?
First page is a colon.
First page, okay.
Thinking about that comment, you need a village to raise a child.
Glenn?
Need a committee.
We're it's removed from a couple of those. There's like a few things that are like advanced now, advanced, like under the subcommittees that are.
It may have been. He was doing some edits, right, to
You take
remove
notes
them,
off those.
those underlines.
I might have in the process. Stripped a couple, but I tried to.
See where I'm talking about?
No.
Under the cybersecurity. This paragraph and this paragraph.
You know what?
Oh, I think that's a
We don't need
conversion thing.
As I'm going down.
I would just put.
It's just, you've got the indented, you've got the
We already
first
declared what
line.
the
It's
initialism is. Just put ITAC numbers. Yeah.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay.
just like that. I mean, it's just like how the paragraph is formatted. Don't make me do that for every paragraph. Doesn't matter.
I just wanted to line up normally.
Are you talking about this paragraph here?
But there's a bunch of, the one that you have highlighted.
Yeah,
each event took place.
I see.
I'll fix the one that was down below. Here, I can do it. When that's unfixed.
Yeah, he's got it.
The first pair out of there.
Anything else on the substance of this? And let me just quickly update the URL here as well.
You good, Jim?
So this is sorry, go ahead, Glenn.
We're good. I think that's.
There's one tiny nit on the second line of the summary and activities and accomplishments. That dash is, in my opinion, unnecessary.
The width, after
Yeah.
width?
Yes.
Actually,
ITAC's engagement with and service to.
URLs here that are not spelled out.
actually, I would get rid of all the colons in the major titles, major topic headings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's good. Sorry, Sharon.
It's fine.
We're getting rid of all the colons.
Yeah.
You're in a long, I just think
Yeah,
it's consistent.
But it's as long as it's consistent, right? Yeah, I think I can get rid of them all. Honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other substantive changes, small edits?
Good.
Good
Content.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
much better than previous reports,
Thank you.
which I had. So I can
Try my
say
best. If that's okay, somebody want to move to?
Sorry, just one last one. Did we add the comment around the presentation from Chris Roy around broadband?
We should have, but I don't know. Yeah.
I lost that in the flurry.
Where should that be added?
That should be added to, that's for the full committee.
At the top?
So I think at the top, yeah. So
We don't
between
have to wordsmith
ITAC
that.
continued and
No,
finally the committee, yeah, so.
yeah, let's just put a pointer in there, and then we'll trust you to get that done.
I also had a
Yeah,
presentation
that's
from the school planning committee. They did a very high level overview for us.
Committee.
I must have missed that.
Remember?
Did we consult with Chris Roy or did we just kind of hear from this?
We heard from
We
him.
heard from him.
Yeah.
From,
I missed that session, so.
We were excited by his area.
what's his title?
He's the general manager.
I mean, this is.
I think it's at least 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Good.
With interest. Okay. Somebody want to move to adopt this
Oh, we have
report?
one other change that
Yep.
was looking up.
Well, you might as well describe it.
We had a presentation from the school committee about what the plans were for the school.
Okay, we did?
Do you remember who?
Bill was just checking the minutes to see what the timing of that was.
We've been
Are you sure it was from the school committee or the building?
I'm
School.
not, it was on the school, but I don't know exactly who it was sent to.
Who was at this meeting?
Yes.
minutes.
I don't remember.
I don't remember, but I may have missed it.
I don't remember that either, but
I don't remember that.
Yes.
I really don't.
Sorry, Bill, please check. You
I would
remembered
remember
it
the
too.
mass amnesia.
I don't know that you and Cheryl go out for from the building committee. You didn't invite us? Great meeting, you
Some
guys.
places in China and other places. Is that intentional? That's not- that's kind of-
If you want to do it, I'm going to grab chair and change it. Which would you prefer? Chair. Chairperson. Wait a minute, I was digging into a bag of gummy bears. Okay. I don't think we had that presentation.
Yeah, too many of us don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
So somebody want to move to adopt the report as edited, as revised?
I moved since I
All in favor?
started this whole thing.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adopted unanimously. Thank you.
Good job, Paul, and
Thank you,
whoever
gentlemen.
may have helped you.
I will get this
Okay.
off ASAP to the board select. Okay, next item on the agenda. Belmont Fix-it Clinic report out. So I'm just going to give you, we had our first ever Fix-it Clinic, we being Belmont. It was sponsored by Sustainable Belmont, and I worked Therese Hammersley there. After I had attended one in Jamaica Plain, approached Sustainable Belmont and the library and said this would be a great idea. And was able to work with Peter Struzziero and Therese and then the larger national Fix-it organization to get it stood up. And it was amazing. First of all, we had 14 Fix-it coaches volunteer for our first one. And initially, like going into it, I think we only had 5 or 6 people actually RSVP to bring stuff in. So we thought it was going to be, but as it turned out, there were a tremendous number of people who walked in. So we had very good attendance all for the 3-hour length of the event. I think we probably had probably 30 or 40 people come in. And again, a lot of coaches there.
What type of coaches?
These mixture of residents and people who are just part of the Fix-it network in Massachusetts. So some of them came from other towns, neighboring towns, Winchester.
I'm sorry. What was their expertise?
Different expertise. Some of them were furniture people. A lot of them were electronics people. Some of them had subspecialties within electronics, like small motors and stuff like that. Everybody generally was a generalist. So, but they had the right tools. There were certain folks who had the right tool set for doing small electronics work. I saw.
I'm sorry, could you just name those organizers again? You said
Sustainable Belmont.
Right. And
Therese Hammerly. Spell that for you.
Hammerly.
I always forget whether there's an S in it. Nope, there's a Therese, Terese, Hammerly, Hammerle.
Okay.
And then Peter Struzziero, which is Struzziero, who's the library director. Struzziero. Struzziero.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Peter Struzziero.
That does not roll off my tongue.
Who's a direct library director. And they hosted it in the assembly room. And again, we were able to integrate it as part of Fixit.org, which is a national group, actually run from the West Coast.
This was the antique roadshow of home repair.
It kind of, yes. We had some people who are also local organizers for Repair Cafe, which is a different kind of Fix-it group. They basically do the same thing. And who were there. So it was great. I personally brought in a pencil sharpener that I was not able to successfully repair because, in fact, it was. I think it was like there were these little plastic gears inside that just wore out. And just needed to replace it. But I saw somebody bring.
Was that a successful repair or no?
It was an amazing experience, and we took it apart and got it all working, but realized that in fact it was just that these cheap plastic gears had worn out and just couldn't power it. Yeah. So everything was working, it just wasn't getting that.
Smallparts.com.
Is that right?
I think they have all sorts of little things.
Okay. Okay.
What was the most sophisticated appliance that somebody brought in and they repaired?
I saw this guy, Jonathan, who is one of the local repair coordinators. Hold on. Jonathan Crones, repair a boombox tape recorder using basically a hairband, for like a ponytail.
Yeah, it's the little tiny belts that go on those things.
Yeah, but I saw. I was working with a Belmont dad and his son who repaired a KitchenAid mixer. Yep, just kind of.
Any microwave ovens, toaster ovens?
I don't think I saw a microwave. There were smartphones, obviously, a lot of that type of stuff.
I fixed the microwave once. It was sparking. There's a little tiny, just almost like a cardboard piece that is a one-way mirror for the com, and that's
Yes.
It's a quick, easy fix.
There were a lot of lamps that needed new cords or new whatever the thing that holds the light bulb. There was a ton of stuff like that, and there were people there who really fixed lamps or who knew all the ways. So,
Much of the furniture? You said that there was a
there were people there fixing like chairs and stuff like that.
chairs.
Yeah.
We can take them apart and reglue them.
That's basically it. Yeah, clean up them and reglue them. Yeah. Next one is scheduled for May. I think it's May 26th, but let me just. Belmont's next Fix-it clinic. Sorry.
Is this getting any coverage, let's say, in the newspaper, Paul?
So we had articles, I placed articles both in the Citizen Herald and in the Belmontonian. The Fix-it movement is getting written about in a lot of places, including New York Times and The Atlantic. And there's Vice has a website called Motherboard that covers Fix-it stuff and right to repair quite closely. So yes, it is getting a lot of, and the Globe has written articles about Fix-it clinics. They're
Right, so your article showed up in the Belmontonian.
Yeah. Hold on.
All right, so in the interest of time, I would suggest we move on.
Yeah.
Okay. You did say it's May 26th for those.
I
that
did,
maybe have
and I believe that is correct.
Is that going to be at the library also?
Yes, and I'll correct the notes if I'm wrong on that.
I just have one last question.
Yeah.
So is there so people don't bring stuff down and then discover that there's no expertise in that area, that they post in advance, like bring your X, Y, and Z?
So what they do is they basically, this is like a low tech operation on the back end. They basically have some shared Google spreadsheets for coaches to sign up and for customers, so, for people to fix it to sign up. Obviously getting coaches available is key. You can't really have one of these coaches. And then people will sign up in advance and say, I'm bringing in a mixer, or I'm bringing in an iPad or something like that, just so they can try and make sure they have the right tools. A lot of people walk in day of without RSVPing, and they do their best to triage and get them. And obviously, for some people, it's sort of like, you need this part, come back at our next clinic, or go to one of these other area clinics and somebody will help you fix it. Or here's how you can do it yourself. So not everybody walks out with a fixed thing, right? Okay. But it was highly successful. Sustainable Belmont was really psyched about it. Library was psyched about it. We're going to be doing more.
Great.
Okay. Okay. On that note, next item. There is a upcoming forum, Better Together Community Forum in April, that the Friends of the Library approached me about. A lot of the committee, a lot of the groups in town, the school department, Board of Selectmen and so on are signing on as sponsors of this event. It's kind of a community forum about building community in the 21st century, building bonds, breaking down kind of technological isolation and other types of things. The guy who wrote Bowling Alone is going to be the guest speaker, and it's just kind of a community-wide discussion. So I wanted to bring it to the committee and say, do we want to put our name on the list of committees sponsoring this, which would really we just sort of be adding our name. I think they've got like 30 different sponsors, and maybe we would post it on our Facebook page or something as an event that people should check out. Doesn't really compel us to do anything.
I'm sorry, I missed it. So what is the core focus of the forum?
It's about reimagining community, I guess. Sort of, again, it's really a discussion and a talk by the guy who wrote Bowling Alone, which talks about sort of, how modern communities kind of foster a sense of isolation and loneliness, and sort of ways to overcome that, I guess, build more integrated communities. It's sponsored by Friends of the Library because one of his arguments is that libraries are kind of very integral institutions within communities in terms of connecting. So I thought I'd throw it to the committee. It's neither here nor there, but if it's something we want to put our name on, reach out and let them know.
What would be the drawbacks of it?
Well, you can put our name and don't actually do anything. We're not really earning our sponsorship.
Well, we will help get the word out through our Facebook page and
We have to promote it.
help promote it, yeah.
Do you think that
Go ahead.
do you think the belief is that in the future online communities will be an important part of ordinary communities, or is he arguing against that?
That's interesting.
Are we part of the solution or part of the problem? I guess that's a good question.
I don't think it's an anti-technology argument. Let me just read. Community sponsor. Major purpose of the event is to build on diversity of our separate organizations and forge connections that will lead to a stronger community. Since your organization fulfills an important role in town, we'd be pleased if you join us as a community sponsor. Doesn't require any financial commitment. Community sponsors will assist in promoting the event through their communication vehicles, websites, newsletters, and pledge to send at least 2 people from their organization to the event.
Is it a commercial entity or is it?
No, it's Friends of the Library.
And when is the event again?
And it's Dr. Robert Putnam, a Harvard professor who's authored several books about community building. It's the Belmont Library Foundation. Sorry, not Friends of the Belmont Library Foundation is the group organizing it.
It's in April sometime.
Huh?
Do you have a date? April.
April 28th, 3 to 5 p.m. at the Beach Street Center. It starts at 2:45. Community members gather and socialize. Welcome and context setting. Robert Putnam talks on community from 3:20 to 3:50. There's a Q&A, refreshment break, table breakout sessions. What actions and strategies could further strengthen community in Belmont? How does our library support that goal both today and in the future? And then closing.
My reaction is that it's probably not in our purview to do this, but I don't see any harm in it, and I wouldn't mind attending.
Okay.
Seems like a very low lift. I mean,
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, the school department is sponsoring it, right?
Right.
Okay.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, let's have a motion. Okay, let me,
I make a motion, we do what they ask. In that email.
Motion to sponsor.
Yes.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, unanimously adopted. Thank you. I'll get back to
Okay.
folks.
That's right.
Next item on the agenda.
This is the fun stuff. We're just going to take way too much time.
Okay, do we want to move around? Do you want to do our subcommittee updates before we do big hairy ideas?
No, my suggestion would be to stay with the original, and if we have to forego the subcommittee updates.
Okay.
I'm
So,
just more interested in the other thing.
okay.
See you.
Okay,
So,
bye, Cheryl.
hey, bye, Cheryl. Thank you. So big hairy ideas for 2019. These were just kind of high-level ideas or projects that we might pursue as a committee, or break out and have a subcommittee tackle it, or all of you. So
I had volunteered to look up the first one on the Open Data Initiative.
yes.
Right. So let me pull up my notes on it. That's not it. Here we go. So I confirmed with the town clerk's office that we do not have any Open Data Initiative. Not surprising. I was pointed to Dave Petto to find out more, because it was a recollection that it may have been something that the former town administrator had considered, but there was no sort of institutional memory about it. And Dave did not respond to my inquiry, so he may have just missed the email. That said, I did look around and get more information around it. I've got a bunch of links that I'm happy to include in the minutes. Massachusetts has an open data initiative that's run through the State Department, and it's to help be a platform to aggregate open data across
State
towns.
Department in Washington, D.C.?
Sorry, the state, the Commonwealth.
Oh,
There is an open data initiative at the federal level. There's one at the Commonwealth level. There's also one at the Boston level. Okay.
so it's Boston in particular.
The Boston, the city, right?
Interesting.
There are also, I didn't do an extensive search, but Cambridge has one as well as Somerville, right? What else can I tell you? And I also found a few sites. Again, I'm sure I'm just scratching the surface, but there is a nonprofit whose website is called opengovdata.org that has the principles of what open government data could be. The World Bank themselves actually has a whole site dedicated to talking about how you can start an open data initiative and what that means for good governance globally. So they're looking at a very high level. So, you know, I think there's a lot of interesting possibilities, as I think we would all imagine. With the, what I don't have a sense of is like, what are some of the costs of that, obviously. But there are, you know, articles talking about how some of these things are priorities for municipal leaders. So again, from the perspective of if we were to bring this up to the selectmen or to the town administrator as an initiative, you know, I think there's a lot of material we could find to comment on, to put together, talk about pros and cons. One of the interesting things is, I forget if it's Boston or Cambridge or a combination of the two, you know, they make this data available and then they invite people to do things with it, right? And now you're getting sort of general submissions. They've got open GitHub's repos where people have done interesting like visualizations of geospatial data.
Kind of crowdsourcing a lot of it.
Crowdsourcing it and trying to find insights. And the kind of data is both the sort of stuff we might imagine like, you know, census data, right? Or assessment data, right, for taxes, right? There's a site that you can go on in Boston where they've got a map set up. You can click on it, it shows you what the taxes were paid on that building and what its assessed values are, for example, right? There's other information, though, that's available through some of these other sites, like, you know, who's been issued building permits and for what and how much and, you know, who was issuing, you know, entity, things like that. Some of it is very, like, it's just scans of documents, right? So it's actually a pretty wide swath of information that folks have put online. One of these is either Boston or Cambridge advertised that they had 143 different data sets available.
Wow.
Right? So I just thought it was kind of neat, and it was also neat to see what people were doing with it. I think many of these initiatives are only a few years old. So it's not like we're behind, but their Commonwealth level platform is not meant to supersede efforts that towns and municipalities are doing themselves, but meant to be a resource for them. So they've got some tools, they've got some ways to help catalog what other people are doing. So if you want to link out to them or make yourself linked to them to make your data easier to find.
How much did you find in your travels about sort of the downsides of doing that? I mean, people being Facebooked as a result of it, being like micro-targeted and saying, you know, scammers calling up Mrs. Jones and saying, Mrs. Jones, I see you have, you know, so and so much money exactly left on your mortgage, and you're, you know.
I did not. So all I did was look up what resources were available. I didn't actually have a chance to dive deep into, you know, pros and cons or some of the write-ups about it. Certainly there are privacy concerns. I think there were one or two places that had some guidelines in it, but I didn't have a chance to review them.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I think it's an interesting idea, and it can be leveraged for a huge lot of good, but coming with that is, you know, unlocking potentially, maybe inadvertently a lot of PII about people, even though it's not like a lot of things are already public records, but you're making the public records all the more accessible.
Right. That would concern me is how do you scrub it properly, right? And not divulge PII.
Can you scrub it too? Because a lot of things like, you know, ownership of properties is
seems like
available today, but it's not like
well, that is also
easy.
that's what Redfin and Zillow have been doing for years. So why, if a commercial entity's already basically mined all this data, why would you not want public to be able to do the same thing for no one?
It's a great point, right? And I think if we wanted to move forward on this initiative and put together, you know, a perspective on it, we would want to include, you know, some of those things, right?
Give people an opt-in versus opt-out, you know, find some way.
Right.
I mean, I know
there's other detail too, like what are the cost implications? How would you maintain this? What does this mean for an ongoing budget, you know, consideration? right?
I know there are companies that do like data anonymization for like testing and stuff like that, right?
Right.
And Dave's already, I think Dave has already been hooked in a lot with the GIS work.
Right.
He's done with the GIS system. Like there's a lot. I don't know
Right.
how much
I mean, I know there was an Eagle Scout project last year where they went to a bunch of the veteran grave sites and actually geotagged them, right, and then linked them to the name of the veteran that was buried there.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So that data must sit somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Len, did you read anything about or come across anything about kind of like grants, state or federal grants?
I did not. I didn't look into
towns?
funding, right.
Okay.
So,
It might be interesting, like whether there are either human resources or financial resources to help towns.
But, you know, I think, again, if we chose to pursue, and I think it'd be very interesting, you know, of the topics we listed, if we wanted to pursue this in more detail, you know, the obvious things to do would be like, let's go talk to some of these local towns that have done this, find out some of their lessons learned, how did they pay for it, you know, what kind of resources do they have, who did they learn from, right? What are the guidelines, et cetera, right? There's a lot that we would have to divulge, but the short answer is like, there are local folks who have done it. There's also state level activity, and there's federal activity as well. So there's many different levels that we could leverage if we wanted to pursue it.
There might be interesting things with historical data too, which might not have the sensitivities that current data do. Like I know, like one time I had an issue like having to hook up water on my house at my house. And I had to, they had to go to like this card file and look up the, they had to look like hand sketched card, showing where the water pipes were under the ground. And like, it's not on a computer yet. That's pretty surprising. And I'm sure that Belmont, being what Belmont is, there's probably a lot of opportunities for this.
Well, I think even a very simple practical thing is for folks who've been in their house and have done improvements, have pulled permits before, right? And then at some point in the future, they decide to sell their house, right? And they need to show what improvements they've done. Yeah. You may not remember, I don't remember what I've done in my house, right? And one way you can prove that is to like look at old permits, and then you at least get a sense of what you paid into, so you don't have to get assessed the tax on those improvements, right? That'd be kind of helpful. But
I was surprised, like I had a 2-family in Watertown. I needed to have like I wanted to see where the property lines were, and they were like, we got nothing. We just have what the builder filed in 1915.
Right. Well, a lot of times the written description of the property borders takes precedence over any maps.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, well, I'm a writer, so that's great.
Well, yeah, look that up.
You say go for
5 feet southwest of a large oak tree.
Yeah.
So I think it was interesting. I think it also sort of fits with what we were supposed to be doing as well.
yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think probably the next thing maybe would be to have a meeting with Dave and maybe Patrice and sort of say, what do you think? Right.
Some examples too. This is off of the Boston site. They also have central library electricity usage, city hall electricity usage, crime incident reports, property assessments, employee earnings reports.
Wow.
Right. It's all public, right?
Yeah.
311 service requests.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would imagine all campaign
And city council roll call votes.
Wow.
That's great.
All campaign finance reports would probably be accessible as well.
Well, once you start doing it too, you can really get some like positive feedback loops, especially around sort of 311 and reporting problems and locating kind of clusters of whether it's gas leaks or who knows, crime reports, accident reports, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff you could do about that.
There's that
That's a big report about
terminal that's in, where is it, in the town clerk's office, where you can type in inquiries to get dumps of town records, and so it might be that would be something interesting to kind of attach.
Figure out. Yeah.
So this is already available, like the gas leaks are available on it. I think assessment data is all available on GIS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dave would. That's why it's Dave would.
Right. So we may have some elements that we just need to centralize or put under a bigger umbrella that
have a portal or figure out how can we build this out.
Or maybe there's some data that Dave is interested in getting into the GIS, but has had trouble getting the air cover to do it or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So some of this could be kind of helping them to formulate what's low-hanging fruit, what are some things that we could do easily, and also maybe identifying resources, whether those are grants or even folks within town who might be able to take on some of this.
So my suggestion, sorry, just in the interest of time, would maybe to cover off on the other two topics we had to see if folks had other feedback, and then maybe decide if among the three we wanted to take action on one or more of these topics, and then talk in more detail. Is that fair?
Sure. So Charles, I think did you work with Cheryl?
I worked with Cheryl, and it's unfortunate that she isn't here because she was the one that really unearthed the two sources of information that were circulated to you.
Yeah.
Basically, there has been stuff written over the last 2 or 3 years. Cheryl discovered a couple of articles via the internet. And it's the Smart City, Smart Town movement is basically part of the better living through technology in the cities, which may remind you of a slogan that used to be out there, better living through whatever. And I don't want to make light of this, but it did remind me of that. And, their definition of a smart city is basically a urbanized as opposed to a rural entity where technology, data are being used together to make for a better, more efficient, more enjoyable life. Now, then they go on to say that one of the reasons this is going to become progressively more and more important is they had some estimate in here that by 2050, more than 60% of the world's population is expected to live in cities. Actually, frankly, I doubt that it's going to take that long, 60%, but I don't know the specific statistics. Now, one of the interesting things was they give a list of some of the cities that have made progress along these lines later on in the 2016 article, one entitled Smart Cities, a Cheat Sheet. And while most of the progress seems to have been done outside the U.S., in Europe, one of the cities that was listed as having made progress in the U.S. was Boston. Hence the second article that came out. And I think that, they're probably taking a broad definition of what smart cities is, but they talk about the use of technology to improve navigation, surveillance, and safety on streets. They also mentioned the Boston's public bike share system, which I expect all of us have seen somewhere in Boston or Cambridge or Somerville. And the thing that caught our eye, they also mentioned a public Wi-Fi network initiative that they have. The thing that caught our attention, and I'm expanding this to the side of the TCPH subcommittee, was they mentioned self-driving cars. And they brought up the new Autonomy organization, which is a startup company in Cambridge that we have knowledge of. We've had Jim Syracuse actually made an initial email inquiry to them. Unfortunately, Jim wasn't here for our meeting, so I really don't know where that is, but I'm going to find out and follow up, because we think that from the standpoint of the subcommittee, and I'm going to take a little liberties here, I suppose it could be elevated to the attention of the full committee, could it not? Yeah. The idea of having the self-driving cars be a topic that might be of interest to the people in the town, and could be certainly an educational topic, not unlike the 4 topics that we've already done through the subcommittee. And we could approach that in various ways. I guess we, as a subcommittee, think the best outcome would be to convince New Autonomy, and it merged recently with a company, Active, right? But to actually come out with one of their vehicles and give a demo, let's say, at a town day event or town day-like event, not unlike what some of the electric driving car people in town have already done. As a matter of fact, one of the things we were thinking about, or we are thinking about it, is to approach the electric car driving people on the one hand, see if they'd like to partner, while on the other hand, we're going to the new autonomy people to see if they're interested from a marketing and public relations standpoint, you know, to send some of their people and maybe one of their vehicles, you know, out to be part of a, I don't know what you'd call it, sort of a mid-range vehicle type of presentation. The interesting thing about the new autonomy FT initiative is that they already have something going with Lyft in Las Vegas. And while we were having the meeting in real time, Glenn sort of looked into that, and apparently they, how many trips have they got so far?
25,000 paid trips.
25,000 paid trips. And they've got 20 to 30 vehicles that are equipped to do this.
So Charlie, let me just pull it back a little bit again in the interest of time here. So I think what I'm hearing is with the Smart City, Smart Town initiative, there's some information that we could pull from some of the articles just around efficiency gains, right? We know smart meters is a big part of a smart town system, right? Other technology gains such as, you know, Wi-Fi networks and such, and there are plenty of other towns where we could look at those models, right? And then also things like driverless vehicles, which ties into something that we're doing in subcommittee.
Yeah.
So I think that's one area if we want to explore further.
So I just wanted to comment on the last one since it sounds interesting. But one of my thoughts relating to it is that self-driving cars may have the reverse effect of what, or may contribute to the traffic problems we already have in town. But if we could put like something having to do with self-driving vehicles with ride sharing together in some kind of smart cities thing to get traffic off the roads in Belmont, that might be very well received if we can figure out some kind of interesting thing to do there, because it's only getting worse. And I've heard a number of things which I think are kind of untenable, but like including like tolling people to drive through Belmont. You mentioned that. So I think it's a good idea, but I'm not sure we can get away with it unless you want to pay to go across Watertown also.
Well, I mean, they're right. Things like Uber are driving people away from mass transit. So
Yeah.
if you know.
And Belmont has the density and the small footprint that if there was I don't live anywhere near any public transportation, so if I come to these meetings, I have to come in a single passenger vehicle. But if there was a way to use some kind of ride sharing something or other that was just kind of always circulating around town, I would do that. Super cool. I could do that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I sort of think, I mean, just my 2 cents is, you know, traffic problems are a big problem, but they're also a problem that's kind of much on a scale that Belmont can really solve on its own, right? So, you know, I think that, you know, but I look at us as particularly, you know, kind of in line with the presentation we had from Belmont Municipal Light Department as a town that owns its own, owns actually a substantial infrastructure of poles and wires, as basically already having the skeleton of what could be a very interesting smart town deployment. The question is what are the features that you want to, you know, realize, whether that's I don't know, but I mean, we've got, you know, whether that's, you know, municipal broadband and then services built on top of that, whether it's you know, ways to better extend town services. I mean, a lot of smart city stuff is really about having more efficient, and therefore less expensive infrastructure, whether that's trash or lights or roads, and really, you know, having a lot of data on, you know, the functioning of your town, the functioning of your infrastructure that allows you to manage it a lot more.
Well, but thinking along those lines, and I don't know enough about the engineering and technology of this to say, but the the new general manager came over and proposed to us about the Belmont having its own basically broadband internet network. That's going to require some significant infrastructure investments. I wonder if what Boston's trying to do with this outdoor Wi-Fi network is something that could be implemented much more quickly in a smaller geographical area like Belmont, and whether, in point of fact, the Lake Department is already set up for this. Maybe it's already set up.
I think
I don't know what the answer
that's
is.
kind of what he was saying.
But your idea is
So I would say, as we look at that question, it might be sort of maybe helping the town to define, first of all, as Charlie said, what do we really mean by smart town? And I guess maybe what do we have in the pros column for us as a community in terms of doing some of these things, and what's the low-hanging fruit that we could pick that would actually have an actual ROI for the community? Because, as you said, the definition is all over the place. There's a lot of
it's better living through technology. That's basically
it is, right?
And they're applying it to urban areas because they think that the payoff, and I think that's correct, is greater in a highly densely populated
like
area.
one of the use cases, for example, in Chicago would be would be like the trash. So, for example, the trash receptacles, right? That if you have smart trash receptacles and Chicago's rolling trucks to go service those trash receptacles, if the trash receptacle can actually tell you how full it is, then you can optimize your route to only service the trash receptacles that need to be emptied and not to service the ones that don't. And for a town, city like Chicago, that means, okay, well, suddenly we're, 60% more efficient in emptying trash. And that translates for, a city that size into huge costs. So, those are the types of implementations that cities are looking at. They're very narrow, but they actually, especially at that scale, can have real impact.
Do we want to talk about the third topic, which is the Belmont High School's Tech Resource Center?
I do.
Briefly, and then are we hoping to get to a decision tonight, or do we want to?
I don't think we
Kick it out.
We can kick it for a couple weeks.
Let me offer a framework as to how we want to think about this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really cool things out there, technology-wise, that we all could really enjoy getting into. The fact is, we're probably bandwidth limited, no pun intended, and so as a way to filter out things and to narrow our scope, maybe we just, since we are called ITAC, information technology, that we restrict our efforts in that sphere.
Yes.
Just as
That's crazy talk, John. Crazy. Okay, let me do the last one. I'll do it quickly. I was tasked with following up with one of the ideas that we had is to try and address some of the tech literacy within town. We've got a lot of residents, senior citizens, but not just, who struggle with technology literacy, or they're struggling with issues like online safety and cybersecurity and so on. And how might we as a committee address that? And one idea was to help facilitate some cross-generational learning. So we've got a lot of digital natives at Belmont High School who are very fluent using smartphones, using laptops, using tablets, who might be willing for community service to help, be a tutor or an aide to other residents, again, not just seniors, all ages. And help them with focused kind of technology problems, kind of like a Genius Bar, right? But instead of at an Apple store here in Belmont,
sort of like a Fix-it clinic, but for technology.
Yeah, but more around concrete. My computer's. I'm trying to.
Well, I'm not going to use the word Fix-it. I mean, a technology.
Yeah. So I did reach out to Alice Melnikoff at Belmont High School, who runs their who is in charge of the what's the word I'm looking for? Mentorship, not mentorship. Community service program. Thank you. Late. And had her send out an email blast to the students right before, about a week or two before their recent break. And then she's sending one out, I think, this week after break. So she got 6 students who replied to that initial email blast and said they would be willing to volunteer for a program like that, maybe at Belmont Library. And then she's going to send out another email blast either this week or next once kids have settled back in.
Only 6? That's my read.
That's not bad, but again, there might be more in the second email blast. Who stepped up and would be willing to do something like that. If we were to pursue this as a committee and work with them to try and facilitate that, it would probably be a matter of saying, okay, how can we and Alice work to make this a reality? So what resources do they need? What kind of training do they need? What's the menu of problems that they can help people with and not help people with? Can we find adults to maybe supervise these sessions and be a liaison or a resource for them when they're happening, whether that's once a week or what have you. But so long and short is, I think that there's interest out there, obviously in the Belmont High community. I'm almost certain there would be interest in the overall community. We as a committee, if we want to go forward with this, would need to really work to define the parameters of this program.
And help facilitate it, presumably.
And help work with Alice, work with probably the library, work with the, and maybe the, I don't know, the Council on Aging or something might want to get involved. Or,
as a matter of fact, there's some politics, I think, here. One is that there's already an initiative, I think, underway at the Beach Street Senior Center. There's a gentleman down there who I think runs a computer literacy program. Dave Petto himself teaches introductory stuff down there about computer literacy. Now, so there's sort of an organizational element here if you want to incorporate the high school kids, who probably are a terrific resource. They're a terrific resource.
Yeah.
And I think you people who are current parents, don't your kids have a community service requirement in order to graduate?
Yep.
Basically, well, this is going to be a piece of cake for some of these kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to love it. They're going to look at it and say, easy.
And it's fostering kind of cross-generational. I mean, there are a lot of benefits. Yeah.
Exactly. But there are also some politics involved.
There might be. Yeah, we should definitely coordinate with them. Obviously, the need is greater than just the senior community, but we want to build on that and complement that, not supplant it. I agree.
Okay. We're at 9 o'clock.
We did pretty well.
So,
But we're not done yet.
well, my suggestion is we could close off any remarks on these three things. I think you said you were happy not having to vote on anything, so this was really just an information sharing on some of those topics. I suggest we forego any of the subcommittee updates and just spend the next few minutes planning when the next meeting will be.
I concur.
Okay, good.
Okay. Let's get our smartphones out. What is computer? Do you want to do one in end of March?
Sure. Hey, when's April? Okay, so obviously, and it's before April vacation. 27th, you're thinking of what?
Of March?
Yeah.
So my challenge is
Wednesday.
I might be out of town that whole week. I haven't confirmed my travel yet for work. So we could book it and then I may or may not be available.
Is a week before that better?
It's one of the weeks either at the end of March or beginning of April. I need to get up to speed.
Okay. Well, I would say, is Thursday night generally good for people?
Wednesday is better.
Wednesday it is? I want to say the 27th at 7:30. At 7:30.
Thursday. It's a new time.
Thursday.
7 Thursday.
Okay.
4:20 and 7 Thursday.
Sorry, which day? The
This is
27th?
the 27th.
Wednesday, right? Wednesday, March 27th.
And then Phil and Jim, do we want to try and do a subcommittee meeting before that?
probably.
Did we get any comments from the general committee on that
I
topic?
just sent it out to
Yeah. Okay.
you. But we'll meet before then.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna meet probably the second week in March.
But we presume it's okay to get comments from.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
What?
No, the whole open meeting thing. We can't collaborate online on the report.
We can't, but you can send comments.
We
back.
cannot.
No, that's the
No, you can send comments
We
back to me as the author directly.
We can't edit the thing.
Huh?
I mean, I see the logic and all that, sure. But I think Ellen takes a very strict read of this law. If you ran it by her, I can guess what
So
her
you
discussion.
can't even respond to me and say you misspelled committee on page 5.
No.
No, what you did tonight was absolutely correct. You distributed the information,
Yeah.
but you did not ask us to reply until we got into the committee.
Well, he
did.
He said, "Yeah, you go ahead and edit the Google Docs."
But I think that's a message from Google. When he shares the link, it says invitation to edit, but I don't think those are all.
So let me just ask
Right.
the
Well,
Google
if we-
scholars,
I don't think
can
parents are gonna distinguish.
comments.
We'll get this right
Can
eventually.
comments from the whole committee be submitted for review by the subcommittee during our next subcommittee meeting? Or is that not permitted?
Say what?
So if Jonathan had if you had comments on the circulated, could you submit your comments for review at our next subcommittee
No.
meeting?
Because the subcommittee and the full committee are both subject to open meeting law.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but
Well, we would
at that
review,
meeting,
but at that meeting, we would not make
Yeah.
his comments.
the answer is
secret.
yes. I mean, you can get comments from public in our meeting.
Right.
It's an open meeting, and that's where you acquire comments.
Oh, right, at the meeting.
Yes.
That's what I was
Yeah.
saying.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
So
I
we
thought
would
if
not
he-
open Jonathan's envelope until the actual meeting with his comments in.
I think it's the
I
spirit.
mean, I think it's the same as
Yeah.
if a member of the general public was commenting on a document and we like opened their literal envelope to review their comments at
Right.
the meeting, right?
I see like a wax seal.
Yeah.
So they have like a wax seal.
I think I
Signet
did.
ring.
Put that in the budget, the ITAC. So maybe that would be a way that would be
Yes.
okay. So we don't have to wait till the next ITAC meeting
Yes.
to take comments from the whole ITAC.
Right. I'll clarify with Ellen and I will update the committee on what she says.
Could I ask one question though? Have we decided that we're not going to do meet Belmont this year?
I don't think we've
I don't
decided.
think I don't think we've discussed it.
Well, it's coming up. There was. I just got.
No, that's
No,
that's a community. That's like a.
Belmont's August.
That's not. Yeah.
Are
that's
you
not
thinking
the-
of Talk of the Town, or are you thinking of Meet
Talk of the
Belmont?
Town.
Talk of the
Okay,
Town.
That's different.
Yeah.
We are not.
Talk of the Town is coming up, but Meet Belmont is in August.
Oh, that's
so
okay. Right. I got that.
Yes. I mean, we should promote Talk of the Town on our Facebook page. And circulate it. So,
it's confusing because it's all the same people.
Yeah.
So on the topic of open meeting law, my apologies, everyone, and thank you for reorganizing your week. I was meant to help get all of our paperwork in on time and had not realized that on Fridays the town hall closes early.
The bell rings at
Noon or
So you got that once before.
I would just go home and send them the. I mean, well, I guess we don't know what the agenda is. That's the problem, right?
I could set them a mock or placeholder agenda.
yeah, you can. And then just
That's why.
But anyway, so
Okay, so 7:30 to 9 on the
All
27th.
accepted.
yeah, you're not the only one who's done that.
Yeah, I think, when I used to chair one of these committees, I'd have a very generic looking agenda.
Yeah.
And always submit that.
That's what I did as
Yeah.
well. Not that
Sort of circumventing the spirit of it all, but, at some point.
Are there any other issues, airing of grievances, things of that matter? No.
Wait till we close the meeting.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
This is good.
Okay, so anybody want to move to adjourn?
move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so let's call this meeting to a close. Thank you very much.
All right.
Now airing grievances.